Anime fatigue. Being so burnt out on the medium that is anime, you just lose interest and motivation in keeping up with what you once loved. It's a topic I've seen passed around a few times, but usually it's the topic of, are you worried that you'll get burnt out of anime someday? And though I personally have never reached full-on fatigue, I've been the closest to it that I've ever been quite recently. Strangely enough, this is around the same time that I found more anime that's impressed me far past most that I've seen. So how is it possible to be both impressed with the medium so much, but also inches away from being completely burnt out? Now, trying to rationalize it, I think it simply comes down to, on one hand, I'm watching all these anime that are delivering exactly what I want from the medium. Compelling character arcs, visually impressive series from world design to just general animation quality heightening the already impressive writing, and just stories I haven't seen done either ever in anime or in quite a while. But then on the other hand, I'm watching the same show I watched 5 years ago when I first got into seasonal anime. Like most hardcore seasonal watchers, I got in the habit of watching almost everything that had a discussion post each season, and I kept that up for a good while before narrowing down what I'd watch a bit more strictly. Even then, I was still watching more than I should. I think it's important to watch a lot of different anime, not sticking to one genre and really trying a bit of everything. It helps to expand your mind and see things from other perspectives you normally wouldn't see, and sometimes you'll find a new love for a genre you never would have given a second look to before. For me, that was actually the romance genre back in 2013 after watching an anime called Golden Time. Now, I've seen enough anime now that Golden Time isn't actually even one of my top romances anymore, but it showed me I shouldn't judge every romance the same way like I once did. And now romances, or more specifically romantic comedy anime, are now my go-to genre in anime. But I fell victim of watching too many really shallow anime. Those kinds of shows I convinced myself I liked when really I only liked a few aspects in the show. Now, it is good to watch your fair few, mainly so you know what bad anime truly looks like, as most fall victim to laying out all their horrible mistakes that it'll make within its first 5 minutes. This helps you know what to look out for, as to not waste too much of your own time in the future. But I've watched far too many battle harems and just other shallow series that I easily could have invested into completed shows that I actually know are well received and not as shallow as a kiddie pool. Now, each year I have gotten stricter with what I'll watch in any given anime season, and within the past year I now complete a third of what I used to. But a few shows this season are still just time killers, but I do find a good 8 to 10 shows a season I thoroughly enjoy as well. In fact, over the past couple of years, many of my all-time favorite anime have come out. But with this new season of anime, summer 2018, I really got hit by the wave of excitement from the public that I just couldn't get behind. What new shows people were excited for, what people wanted me to review, and honestly 90% of what I was hearing about, it looked like garbage to me. Taste is subjective, so what I think looks like trash may be your anime of the season, and there's nothing wrong with that. But to force myself to try and understand the hype, hell nah. Now, I have a solid 10 shows this season that I enjoy a whole lot, some returning classics to just new fun ideas. Like Cells at Work is as simple as it can be, but exploring the human body with some of the most anime-like characters out there, it's just pure bliss for me, where you might hate it and prefer something completely different. I have shows like Revu Starlight, which just hit me like a truck in the same way that Yuri Kuma did back when I first watched that in 2015, as I really don't have a full idea of what I'm watching, but I absolutely need to see more every single week. Banana Fish will top the overall year for me with his take on gangs and the character drama formula. I think it's nailing to a T. Hell, even Hanebado is impressing me, which the sport genre as of late has been. I used to like Zero Sport anime, but recently more and more have been popping up, really nailing what I want to see out of the genre. I'm actually enjoying more anime than I ever have, but I was also one step away from just walking away from the medium while I took a break. I tried so many anime this season that made me miserable. Not just bored, but actually miserable. With a few I was just forcing myself to keep up with because people told me it'd be the best anime of the season eventually. Most of these first episodes I've seen before in other anime, and generally it wasn't the good kind of anime either. Some were fine, but fine doesn't cut it once you've seen your fair share of anime. It just completely killed my interest in watching the anime I was actually loving from this season because I was forcing myself to keep up with these shows that I just thought were mediocre. This is the season that really made me decide to just stop trying anime I have zero interest in for future seasons, or continuing to the next episode of the anime I thought were just fine because people told me, you gotta keep up with this, it'll be anime of the season very soon. Now, I've had a pretty strict drop rule for a while. If something bores me, no matter how early or late into a series I am, I'll drop it. There's no use wasting time on something I don't like. But so many of these anime have a fraction of what I look for in a series, and I convince myself, well, I like this one character, or the idea the show is going for, so why not stick with it at least for now, especially if people are praising it because the source material is supposedly great. Sure, you may dislike these other 3 characters, but this one entertains you. I'm just done with that. Now, if you've been with my channel long enough, you know I really enjoy the anime Rewrite, a visual novel adaptation that's a pretty hit or a miss with the viewers. I've reviewed the series plenty on my channel, so I'm not going to go into much more past that. If you want to hear my full thoughts, you can just check out some of the Rewrite videos I've already made. But Rewrite kickstarted this love for visual novel adaptations that have this uncertainty around them. The idea of not truly knowing what's happening until the very end, and sadly only Rewrite has really executed this style that well for me over the past handful of seasons, as most aren't giving me what I'm looking for. There's an anime airing right now called Island, which I've had a decent number of people recommend because they know I like Rewrite or they just thought the visual novel was solid and they wanted to hear my thoughts on this anime. And though they do share a few similarities, the air of mystery is very Rewrite-esque, the uncertainty of where the series is going, the cast relationships, etc. But I hate this anime so very much. Everything about it, from how it looks with the brightness seemingly cranked up and general filters used, the overall character designs feeling repugnant, the actual character writing making me want to vomit with some of the most cliche scenes I have seen as of late. But I watched this show for 4 weeks because it hooked me like crack for the dumbest reason. I like the feeling of the anime, so why not see where this time travel story is going, even if I hate everything else about it, especially because I have so many people telling me it's going to be great. Now, I finally stopped watching this because I just couldn't bear anymore, and the week following, I enjoyed all the other anime that I was watching far more. I'd been watching this anime that I convinced myself I needed to see how it ends each week, and in doing so, I was actually making myself grow more and more of a disconnect to the medium that I love. And it wasn't just Island, it's all these anime from this season and in past seasons that I was watching weekly that I didn't actually enjoy enough to warrant a full viewing. I thought I was getting better at filtering what I watched by dropping so many shows, but clearly I haven't been dropping enough. There is a solid amount of decent anime this season that I could continue watching, but why continue with decent? I can watch something better from a prior season that's already completed. Unless I'm having a blast with this decent show of the season, there really is no reason to continue with what counts as mediocre to me. I've seen so many anime at this point that unless there is something truly unique about an aspect of the series, I just can't help but compare it to other anime that I've completed. I'm enjoying Hanebado this season because I haven't seen a badminton anime with Haikyuu level animation before. Banana Fish is the first anime I've seen tackling a member of a gang who was sexually assaulted since he was a young boy and exploring his breakaway from this shitty lifestyle, and that's how I feel more or less about all the anime that I'm really enjoying from this season. But all the anime that I dislike or just found decent are things I've seen done before, either worse or better, or they just really aren't that much fun. But nonetheless, when it's too familiar from other series that I've completed, Brandon gets a little cranky after watching hundreds upon hundreds of anime, as many of these shows I just consider to be basic bitches. I think trying a little bit of everything in a season is actually a pretty good thing, as it'll help you find those anime you normally wouldn't try, and then they end up blowing you away. That's Revue Starlight this season for me. I had zero interest in this show, and now it's one of my most anticipated just for the LSD trip it presents. But I think like many, I keep watching far too many mediocre anime each season. Not the ones that the masses tell you to dislike because some bigger channel told them to hate it, but the ones that you know are mediocre for yourself. It might take you a few episodes or maybe even a few minutes to notice. But after really hammering down my list of anime that I'm gonna watch this season, the good stuff, the anime I really enjoy, and watching nothing but those, I've been having the most fun I've ever had in an anime season over the past couple of years. This is actually my least favorite season of the year, but I'm having the most fun with the past few weeks of anime when compared to the past couple of years, because I'm only watching the anime I absolutely adore or just have a blissful time with, not the ones I think, oh yeah, that's sort of fun, let's kill some time. Only the top tier content for my liking, only the anime I have a complete and utter blast with. Maybe that will only leave room for a couple of anime a season, maybe some anime seasons will outright suck if you do this, but coming from someone who almost had to take a break this season as I was forcing myself to keep up with shows that I sort of like or just outright hated because supposedly they'll get better so I need to keep up with them, after clearing them off my queue, it was the best decision I've ever made and stopped me from reaching full-on anime fatigue. If there isn't enough anime in a season, then I'll just watch some of the series in my backlog. Anime is my favorite medium for televised stories. I find it to be the most creative and visually catching out there, but there is a lot of trash being made for each person. Now, what is trash each season will be subjective, but I think it's important not to swim in the ocean of mediocrity too long because there will always be better ways to use your time. Recently, I've been filling up some of my spare time this season with a bunch of live action shows and movies that I never got around to checking out before, with a few of them actually becoming new favorites. It's good not to stick to one area forever and branch out from time to time. And if you only want to watch anime, well, take a look at some of the top charts from prior years. There's always something to watch there instead of watching the same battle harem you've seen 50 times already. Now obviously you can do whatever you want, watch 50 shows a season if that makes you happy, but that's just my story about how I came very close to being burnt out on the medium and found my new love for it all within the same anime season. It's basic advice, only watch the shows you really like and have fun with completely, but I, like many, we watch a lot of shows to completion for the dumbest of reasons, and now that I'm of the mindset of only complete shows I really enjoy from an anime season, not just the ones that fall under the decent blanket, this has made me far more engaged in seasonal anime than I've ever been. Now there have been anime in the past that I have completed that were pretty down the middle shows for my liking, but I enjoyed them enough to finish them because they didn't really feel like the same thing I've seen done before, and I'm still gonna do that. If an anime is different but only decent in terms of quality, I'll probably continue with it because at least it's unique. Or if a show is only decent, be it in the writing or visual presentation department, but I have an absolute blast with it, there's nothing wrong with that. But the stuff I pretend to like, those really down the middle shows that are just copy and paste from past season, or just so basic it hurts, that I just have very little fun with, those days are over, and I couldn't be happier. But as always, let me pass the question off to you. Have you ever been burnt out of anime, or have you ever come close? I'd be interested in hearing your stories if you do have them, or just any thoughts down in that comment section below. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy, and be sure to also subscribe to the channel if you're new. As well, you can always head on over to my Patreon to help support the channel even more if you so wish. So until next time everyone, please take care and y'all have a good one.